Dynamite download.
AEW 2020, John Silver.
Special event, as you can see, SPD.
For a splashing good time. January recruitment.
I come along, I come along in the ring.
I mean, I would not want to hear that. I would not want to got great this year at SPD. Welcome to Dynamite Download.
Welcome to Dynamite Download, everyone. It is Crayfish and SPD. We are together on the same screen for the first time in our Dynamite Download history because we just wrapped up being at Daly's Place at Dynamite live. And if it sounds a little raspy, we both lost our voice. Crayfish over here lost his voice before we even finished the taping of Dark. So we were in for a treat, but our presence definitely was felt at this live show. It was an outstanding time. The card was packed. It was jam-packed, nonstop action. We had awesome seats. We even successfully got MJF to give us the double finger and FU. So, he's called us the Drizzling Shits, and he gave us the FU seal of approval. So we're definitely happy with that. So
definitely did.
It's definitely a win-win on that part for that. So we're gonna go through the card, man. It was jam-packed, and like we said, being there at Daly's Place, if you can ever get down there, highly recommend it. It's an intimate place, not a bad seat at all, and it's nonstop, and the staff there and everyone is so great, and it's fun to see your superstars live. We saw Captain Sean Dean walking through, saw Brian Cage getting ready for his dark match, and who better than him, which we'll talk about later. But we'll dive right into the card, and it was definitely a jam-packed one. We have the first match was very interesting. We had Hangman, Adam Page come out, which we kind of predicted this would be a good one because Hangman is definitely a fan favorite to really get the crowd going. So Hangman and Matt Hardy defeated TH2, which one of our favorite tag teams, TH2. We got to see their entrance, little dancing. So that was great to see them in action and more focused tag team versus that 8-man tag. And then we had a first round match with Rio's return after 11-month absence, and so she defeated Serena Deeb in a true battle match. I'm glad they got the time they did, and it was an outstanding match. Serena Deeb was definitely selling that knee injury for that. Late minute addition to tonight's card, Orange Cassidy defeats Luther in a short-lived match. We honestly thought there would be a little bit more dynamite and fireworks for this one to kind of set up a Muro Kip Sabian type of feud. So unfortunately we didn't see that, but I'm sure it'll come down the line. Young Bucks successfully defended their tag team championships with the parents in the crowd watching them and cheering them on. We were hoping and crossing our fingers for Proud and Powerful to spoil that party and claim the tag team championships, but Young Bucks successfully defended in a kind of a untraditional way. There wasn't too many Young Buck typical high spots, super kick parties, but it was definitely an entertaining match. And to keep the tag team train going, we got the FTR, best tag team in the world. They really put on a clinic with silencing and quieting the Seidel brothers. So they were successful, and Dax, to me, really showed up on that one. And a jam-packed, massive physical main event. Jon Moxley, Lance Archer, Rey Fenix defeated Eddie Kingston, the Butcher, and the Blade. And, Eddie Kingston took a clean pin from Moxley. So, and then at the end of that, we saw all hell break loose with Kenny Omega, which kind of predicted that coming. You kind of got to plant those seeds for sure, which we'll really dive into later. But let's bring it back first, and we'll talk about the opening match. Hangman Adam Page recently, just last week, kind of did a 2-time swap of the contract that Big Money Matt showed him. And we found out after the match, but they showed very good chemistry during the match, and we got to see TH2 really shine with as they deserve, because they're a very entertaining team. They're fun to watch. They got some high spots, great chemistry. We love Jack Evans and Angelico, and we want to see more and more of them. But Big Money Matt and Hangman really gelled well together, and I think Hangman was a star of the show tonight. we'll talk about our top performers, but spoiler, he was my top performer of the night because on an individual level, he really showed up and he was really a powerhouse.
Yep.
And he had a nice story arc throughout that first opening segment with Matt Hardy and the Dark Order. So, what did you think about that match?
Yeah, Hangman was a ball of fire throughout that whole one. But to me, TH2, getting that TH2 getting that opportunity was really special.
It's all right. Keep drinking that tea. Yeah, I know you're such a huge TH2 fan.
I lost my voice trying to give Jack Evans some love tonight.
Worth it for sure.
Honestly, great match. I felt like, to accentuate what you were saying, I was surprised that Hangman and Hardy were able to have the chemistry that they had.
Yeah, for sure. Good point.
I was really surprised.
They did.
Outside of that, the shenanigans and the blow up after the match was next level. And jump in and
for sure. We'll talk about after the match, but I want to give it a quick rating for the match. And for me, it's an elite. It told a lot of storytelling. TH2 really is always fun to watch. They are like a Young Bucks. I don't feel like they could put on a bad match just because if they get the time to shine, they will shine. And that's always a challenge sometimes for them to get the spotlight, but when they do, they maximize their minutes, as JR have said in the past. So I really like the storytelling of this whole segment. I'm rating it as an elite because I loved what Matt Hardy did after the fact, and Hangman, and then Dark Order coming out to save the day. So for me, it's an elite.
Yeah, I mean the Dark Order and the whole dynamic that they have with Paige is leading to, I think, a culmination. We saw TH2 Private Party, the shenanigans after that match.
The mascot.
The mascot was hilarious. And you're starting to see, like, where does TH2 fall into this? Is Private Party going to help Matt Hardy? And that kind of battle with Matt Hardy, TH2, Private Party going against Hangman and Dark Order. Do we see that playing out over the next few weeks? I'm excited.
I hope so. And I was really hoping they would announce maybe they're waiting for the big push at Revolution. It's a card-worthy feud. I think you partner some Dark Order members with Hangman versus, now it looks like TH2 is almost helping out Matt Hardy because he offered him $3,700 each to beat him up. So that's kind of a bold move by that. I like that. Yeah. So I don't know. I would be all for Private Party and TH2 teaming up with or without Matt Hardy versus Hangman and the recruitment specialist plus, 10 or someone like that. Yeah. I'd be all for that match. And I think that would definitely be entertaining for sure. Where they go from there, we'll see. We'll probably see a little bit more when Hangman's going, one-on-one with Isaiah Cassidy next week for sure. So the next match on the card was an outstanding one. We had the first round, which we thought it should have been essentially it could have been a finals. You could have thrown Rio on the Japanese side, but she was here on the US side and she made her in-ring return after 11 months off of AEW TV. And so Serena Deeb is a true battle-driven, battle-tested warrior in the ring. And she definitely showed up. This was great because it got a lot of time. It told a lot of story. Rio was fun to see live. And there's a lot of the false finishes, a lot of the ground and pound, a lot of the submission moves.
Working on the knee.
Yeah, working on the knee, selling the knee. both competitors can sell very, very well. And so they really complemented each other a lot. And we really enjoyed this match. And it, both baby faces, the crowd was hot for both of them. Yeah. So it was kind of a torn crowd. Yeah. And
we were torn.
We were torn too. We're Deeb fans and Rio fans, so we were cheering for both at both high and low points. So I really enjoyed this one, and we briefly talked about it. And we were looking at the calendar, and it was kind of running out of time of how they're going to book this AEW Women's Tournament because after tonight, there's 2 more Dynamites leading up to Revolution, and Revolution got announced on the Japanese first round show of the match versus Shida is going to be at Revolution. So we were counting, I believe it was like 6 matches they needed to get in before Revolution. And unfortunately, Britt Baker, Nyla Rose, Tay Conti, and Anna Jay are all going to be on the Monday's YouTube show. Yes, we wish they were on Dynamite, but it kind of
We
makes sense.
understand.
You need the star power to help drive this, side show that they're doing, this side women's tournament, to see how they can carry it. Maybe it's kind of like a pilot. They're thinking AEW might be like, okay, how are the ratings going to do? How are the views going to do with someone like Britt Baker main eventing or Nyla Rose on there or these Japanese stars? So if they're like, oh, boom, we get all these views in, 24, 48 hours, then they might have something for that. They might think that audience is theirs. So maybe they can pivot to a more women-centric show if they're making this kind of a test, because Thunder, Layla, Serena, and Rio are all stars, in their own. But when you have someone like Britt, who we confidently believe will win the tournament, carrying a YouTube show on Monday, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But I think it'll be a success if there's any rendition of like what we saw with the ratings and all that for the Japanese round one. But what do you think of this match? To me, Serena Deeb versus Rio was definitely an elite. It was nonstop action. I'm not sure if they, being there live is totally different, because sometimes the commercial breaks can suck the air out of it. And so we don't know if there was a commercial break or not, which is fine, because they didn't act like they did.
We couldn't tell. We were live. We could not tell at all. Deeb, we know what Deeb can do. Such a pro, so talented at making the match progress. Some of her submissions tonight, and SPD and I both commented, Rio, we haven't seen Rio in so long. Having her get just ground down, manipulated, twisted, and turned by Deeb throughout this match was impressive. Seeing Rio's smarts on display as a babyface was incredibly impressive. Continued to go after the knee, continued to take the knee out to a point when I wasn't alone. A lot of the fans alive felt like Deeb maybe had a legit injury.
I thought she did for sure.
We were all
she was
worried.
Selling it really good.
And that's such a compliment to Deeb as a performer. I felt like she was going to take this one. She is a fighting champion. And all the more respect to how she carries herself as a professional. Just really, really impressive to see her be willing to kind of allow Rio to shine in this one, and she did. So this one got an elite from us without question.
Definitely an elite, and we're excited to see Rio back in action. Hopefully, we'll see her. It'll be interesting what they do with the tournament and how far she goes. So elite all around on this, and we're going to move on to the surprise of the night, which was the Orange Cassidy versus Luther match. So being there live, we were surprised that Orange Cassidy came out first versus Luther, but it kind of made sense, to get the crowd going. And then it seems like they went to a commercial break, and we got to kind of rib Orange Cassidy a little bit, and he was like playing to the crowd. And so it was a fun little interactive moment, but it was a short and sweet match.
Which is what it needed to be.
It needed to be. Luther had a couple high points, and it was fun with having Chuck Taylor, no longer Charles Taylor, involved in that with Serpentico. So I like that part. Actually, Chuck was almost just that battle between those two within the match was almost just as entertaining as the match. Overall, it has its place, but it was not what I expected, because I wanted more storytelling. There wasn't enough storytelling in the match, and there wasn't enough storytelling furthering anything with this. We haven't seen Orange Cassidy in the ring at all in 2021 in terms of a match point. So it was nice to see him back for that. But, I expected to have Miro or Kip or someone come out just to kind of further, their feud. But unfortunately, just because of that, I have to give this match a delete. And I think you're on the same page for that.
I was prepared to, be pleasantly surprised. I was willing to look at this and say, I see the writing on the wall. We obviously know that this is going to lead to Miro versus Orange Cassidy. And I'm excited about that.
For sure.
It gives Orange Cassidy an elevated platform again.
Mhm.
His style against Miro is going to be absolutely incredible to watch, that mismatch of styles.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, we didn't see that at all tonight. We didn't see Miro get involved. We didn't see
Nope.
Kip, anybody make an appearance. And I thought that was really why this match was added to the card. I felt like that was a big push to keep that momentum going, and we didn't see that. So I can understand why our team had to view that as a delete.
For sure. What wasn't a delete, though, was, Sting finally, in a way, getting put in his place. I mean, Brian Cage showed up and he delivered. We were hoping, crossing our fingers with this segment, with Sting being announced, calling out Team Taz, that there would be a little physicality. I didn't expect to see Brian Cage towering over Sting and being powerbombed. So that was the last thing I expected for sure on that. But I was happy for it. And Sting took a brutal powerbomb. I mean, who better than Brian Cage for sure, because he showed up tonight in a way, and it was great. We were kind of going back and forth. I predicted that Sting would kind of be shown backstage with like Ricky Starks or someone hostage in a way, kind of like,
especially when Ricky was not showing up in the entrance.
For sure. Ricky and Powerhouse Hobbs are not coming out in the entrance. So I was like, oh, okay, then maybe that's the case. But unfortunately it happened, but it was good to see Sting finally get physical. After weeks and weeks, it did not go the way we thought. After weeks and weeks of just banter back and forth, here you go, Cage over the top of him, man. And that was a pretty special moment, and it's really gonna build a lot towards this feud. It really elevated. They elevated it last week, and they elevated it even more tonight with Sting taking that brutal power bomb. And this photo right here is pretty. It's pretty funny, but it's just like, wow, he lights out for Sting.
Did not expect that at all.
For
Cage to powerbomb him the way he did, the power, the explosiveness of that move is brutal.
Absolutely. And this little shot that we took from our seats, it was pretty cool to see Sting come out, the lights go down, then the snow come in. And Taz was great on the mic as always. He is so great on the mic. And so great segment. It helped out the feud a lot, and more than it has week after week. So I mean,
Cage is he had to get physical with Sting at some point, right? I mean, he's gonna be involved in that match. So for us to see that, it was a shock. I think it left a lot of fans surprised that was how it played out. I thought Sting was gonna get the upper hand, use the bat, tear it up. Didn't happen that way.
Definitely didn't happen that way. And one other thing that didn't happen was the fans were clamoring for it. We were clamoring for it. Was Proud and Powerful to take away the gold from the Young Bucks. This match was outstanding. It really was a showcase of Proud and Powerful, and in our opinions, we saw them, battle through a lot of things, get so many close false finishes. They looked better than ever in the ring right now. That was another. I was losing my voice screaming for Santana Ortiz because I was so behind them and Inner Circle, and also we were screaming at MJF as well. So we got our message sent across there. MJF wasn't too happy with us, which whatever, that's fine. It's just that's a badge of honor. We'll wear that again. So this one,
a little bit about the promo before too.
Oh yeah, the promo was, it was great. How Jericho was saying, "Sammy, you're dead to me. Sammy, you're dead to me." So finally, the Inner Circle, acknowledges it officially that he's gone, and he is, quit the Inner Circle and is leaving it. So this is going to lead to a costly thing at Revolution. It really is, and it has to if they're doing smart booking. We were hoping for this match that Santana Ortiz would take a victory. Jericho would kind of be sour about it, be on commentary or something like that. But in his promo, he was, more supportive, firmly behind him, which I didn't expect, but it makes sense. And you want to try to keep that Inner Circle bond, as we saw tonight. And it before the match and after the match when they came out to help with the beatdown. So the match itself, man, what did you think about that?
I mean, the Young Bucks never disappoint. We've talked enough with talent at AEW, and they've even accentuated. The Young Bucks always deliver. They're so polished. They're such professionals. Their chemistry is so makes things look seamless and smooth. And I wasn't surprised when you put them in the ring with veterans like Santana and Ortiz, who themselves are so polished, so good at what they do. I agree with you, SPD. I thought that Santana and Ortiz, this was a real showcase for them. We haven't seen them on Dynamite in a long time as far as in ring, and they didn't disappoint. I was really, I was so bummed I couldn't scream for them. Really was excited to see them out there. They continue to show why an example like them shows why that this tag division is just absolutely mind-blowing. It really is.
Yeah.
I know that there are people who kind of get that tag team fatigue. AEW showcases a lot of tag matches. I get it. But when you have this much talent and a team like Santana and Ortiz, who hasn't had an opportunity on Dynamite in countless weeks, to see what they're capable of, to see what they did in this match. Santana is such a pro, dude. He's such a workhorse. And Ortiz, dude, that guy knows how to emote and get the crowd engaged. There are few in the division who can like get a crowd sucked in like he does. He just knows how to play us. So loved it. Yeah, thanks for the refill.
Yeah, we're sipping hot water and tea because we're trying to save our voice for this show while it's fresh off the cusp of Dynamite. And yeah, this one was one I was extremely excited for. Edge of the seat, nonstop, and it was great to have the inner circle ringside before they got kicked out and then come
Jericho.
back.
You love Jericho ringside.
Oh yeah, Jericho ringside is so money. He really eats the crowd. He is such a professional, and plus getting in the face with the Young Bucks parents, and that was great too.
Yeah.
So, but also the interesting thing was the Good Brothers coming out. There's been kind of a weird relationship with them at the end. So that would be interesting to see Good Brothers and Young Bucks versus a inner circle 4-on-4 battle. You could do Santana Ortiz and MJF and Jericho versus Young Bucks and Good Brothers, which would be a star power match for sure. So that is would be interesting where they go from that. But we saw a little bit, come announced next week, Cutler and Hager, it'll be nice to see Hager back in the ring. But we're still clamoring for Wardlow, man. We have not seen him in the ring since his match with Hager, which was January 6th, was the last Dynamite I went to. So, I will remember that until we see Wardlow in the ring.
Yeah, chomping at the bit.
Young Bucks versus Santana Ortiz was definitely
Without
a unanimous
question.
Elite. I would love to see them run it back. I mean, they've already shown, they've had match of the year candidates in the past. With these two teams gel together, they work together, they're outstanding together. So props to them and for putting on a show-stealing match for sure. We're going to move on to another tag team that is high on Crayfish's list right here. It is the top of the top. If he's not cheering on the Proud and Powerful, it's definitely FTR.
Baby.
And they showed up for sure. I was excited about this because I'm a big Matt Sydal fan, and I don't know anything much about Mike Sydal. So I like Matt's ring movement, how fluid he is, and I like his repertoire of moves. And it was total polar opposites. Flips and kicks versus fist and groundwork. FTR versus the Sydals. And the performer of this match to me was Dax. Coming off an outstanding singles match versus Jungle Boy, he's really getting some momentum and not breaking away, but really standing out in the between the two and the FTR, and he showed it again tonight with all his suplexes and his holds and all those things. And so this match, this was more of just an FTR shine versus, a storytelling battle with the Sydals. Sadly, the Sydals kind of got buried in this match to me, and it was just more of a showcase for the FTR.
Yeah. The matchup of styles was one thing that we talked about being excited about. FTR knows how to just grind a team into the ground.
Yeah.
Cash has always kind of stood out to SPD as the powerhouse of the team. But Dax's work, dude, this dude he's stepping his game up to another level, man. As a diehard FTR fan, I could say Dax is elevating his game. You could tell. But they're just such a smart tag team. They're just so smart. The way they cut off the ring, the way that they know how to just halt the progress of their opponent. Big fans of FTR. And the post-match stuff was fascinating because, Luchasaurus having the horns cut off.
Mm-hmm.
And that segment, it had us all going. Pretty surprising to see what a brutal beatdown that was.
They really did throw a brutal beatdown.
Jungle Boy locking in that submission.
Tapping out Dax again.
Dax to tap out again.
It was a pretty big arc of the story, and up and down. You had this dominant performance by FTR, then all of a sudden the wind gets sucked out of their sails very quickly as soon as Jurassic Express comes sneaking in from behind them. And Luchasaurus, man, in person is humongous, man. Throwing those kicks and just that choke slam he had Cash up there. He had some crazy hang time on that. And so it was a cool way for them to stand tall and to really put the stamp of approval on on their official tag team. I think this isn't over next week, even though they did announce Jurassic Express with Tully, and then versus FTR and Tully, which Tully's going to get in the ring. So that will be, see how that goes. Maybe he does a couple spots on Marco Stunt safely, but
we've seen Tully go off the top rope.
We have seen
he can do anything.
That is true. We have seen him do that. But it'll be fun to watch for sure. FTR is a great tag team, and I'm very high on Jurassic Express, and they got some great momentum going on that as well. So it'll be interesting that this match was elite for us for sure.
Love where they're going.
They're going with it, and it's clear there's so many different feuds that are developing right now, and so many different storylines that we're happy to follow, and we just are excited to follow out. And this is another one of those.
The main event. Yeah.
At first, the FTR and Jurassic Express, the way it started, we were both kind of little, back and forth with it.
Yeah.
But as it started to develop and see where this, they really work well together in the ring together. But we'll move on to the main event, before we completely lose our voices. But we'll start about this. We'll start off, talking about it ahead of time. The Eddie Kingston promo. It's always great to see him. He is one of the best on the mics, and he can really, Tony Khan and social will really talked about this match and how he wanted it. And so for him to hear it from his mouth, it was great because he's just so smooth on it. And just look at Butcher back there, man. Butcher and Blade and Bunny just behind them. I mean, they do look like hired hitmen.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
If I find them in an alley, see ya.
I don't want
any part of that for sure.
No.
And this was a match full of talent that we are extremely high on. This core, we'll say it time and time again, is an excellent core to build your main event, to build your brand, build your company around. When you have Butcher, Blade, and Kingston, Archer, Phoenix, and Moxley, and then you throw in Pac, and then you throw in Penta, and then you can even throw in Kenny in this because he is involved in this and somehow. So this main event core is better than anyone's on in this business right now. And so this match definitely delivered. It was nonstop action as we expected.
Yep.
And it was a lot of fun, and it was an interesting ending. Eddie Kingston taking a clean loss on the match, and Phoenix,
especially after that promo, man.
Especially, how much smack he was talking too.
How personal the Mox thing was for him to get put down clean with a paradigm shift. It was an emphatic paradigm shift, but for him to get put down clean, man, Kingston could talk a big talk, man, but he got put down tonight. Moxley, and again, Moxley himself. The promo that Moxley cut tonight was just, there are few in the business who can get you just like your goosebumps going, man.
Mm-hmm.
It took me back to between Moxley's promo and Kingston's promo, it took me back to the beginning of Dynamite Download and that incredible feud. Mox and Kingston, the promo battles that these two could have, just absolutely impressive. And that's before we get into the match itself, man. The match itself, the blend of styles that we got to see with Phoenix, his high flying. The whole crowd pops like crazy when they see how high he can get.
Oh my gosh, he's so fearless and courageous. It is insane. It doesn't do. I mean, it's so fun to watch on TV, yes, but it doesn't do justice of how high Phoenix can get with his flips and all that, and then even just the chops and stuff. Those are brutal on TV, but they really run chills through your chest and spine when
Kingston
you hear a chop.
and Phoenix both, bro. Both.
But the two standouts of this match for me were absolutely Phoenix and Archer again. These two are my top two performers in AEW currently. Phoenix, his stuff is just jaw-dropping, and Archer is still being, continuing to be innovative and dominant and strong with this match. I love that choke slam. If you see it on our Twitter, the choke slam, and then into his
He did
like a front flip.
Yeah,
he did a front flip onto them as well, which we haven't seen before yet from Archer. So that was some great stuff on there. A lot of guys,
fans behind us were like, they were in awe of what Lance was doing.
Yeah,
just his athleticism for a big man. Mm-hmm. They were like, holy smokes, like walking the top rope, dude. Just the incredible what this man can do. Mm-hmm. It's special, and there's only so many things that you can say about
it. I know. Week in and week out. I mean, he was my top performer for 3 weeks in a row for a reason, and him being featured in main event after main event after main event is perfect booking for him, because he definitely deserves it. I liked how they all came out on the side as well. They kind of switched things up, and the way that it was smart booking, in my opinion, that the way they did that, where the battle left, Phoenix and Archer took the Butcher and Blade to kind of battle them outside and just kind of leave. And so it was a one-on-one finish. And then, Moxley was left for the Wolves essentially. So we saw the Good Brothers come out, Kenny Omega and Don Callis come out, and it was definitely a brutal beating. And this is one I predicted. I was hoping that, Kenny Omega would come out to kind of seal the deal on the show. Why not? And did he ever? He came out with a contract, his rematch clause, and he issued the challenge for Revolution. It was a exploding barbed wire match. Is that what they would call it?
Exploding table, barbed wire rope.
Death match. Regardless of what it is, it's going to be absolutely brutal, bloody, and cringeworthy. One that I would not want to be on.
You're going to struggle through that one. It's going to be violent, but it's going to have Kenny and it's going to have Mox.
Yeah, Kenny and Mox for sure.
That those guys, they know this business. They know what they're doing. I know it's going to be violent. It's going to escalate that feud. But I have the utmost confidence that even though it's going to be bloody, it's going to be violent and brutal, it's going to be done in a way that is respectful to professional wrestling and keeps fans engaged. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to be, it's going to be hard at times to get through, but you're going to be happy that you did, because these two are going to give it their all for the fans. And mm-hmm. That's all you can ask for, man. That's all you can ask for. It's commonplace in AEW, but it's all you can ask for. I think that's going to be an incredible match. This main event, without question, was an elite. I was impressed by both sides of this. Mm-hmm. I think, the physicality was on display from the moment, mm-hmm. and it lived up to that rivalry, that feud, that mm-hmm. anger, that bruise between these two teams. I mean, when a match feels violent, when a match feels it's like it's fought with anger, it was, as a fan, tangible. It was something that we can easily get behind.
And one thing, as we shift gears and I wanted to talk about it. We kind of skipped it over. Was the Jade Cargill promo, and main event was outstanding, but this Jade Cargill promo was perfect. What they're doing with her, she's a superstar. And if you didn't see it, it was her and Shaq in a basketball court shooting hoops, and her just doing slow-mo walking, just look like an absolute beast. And so what they're doing with Cargill, I think it's absolutely perfect. And it honestly looks like Cody is fine because he got booked for a match of Revolution, a ladder match. So that is good. We're all crossing our fingers because, Cody and Red Velvet versus Shaq and Jade. She looks like $1 million and very high hopes for her and expectations. I think she's going to do, blow us all away. Yep. And, the pressure is on, and I'm sure, just reading people's comments and things like that and interacting, you can tell, the highly anticipation, but I think she is going to deliver on every aspect. And that promo and her logo, she looks like an absolute superhero, a Marvel comic. It's just like the crest and then the lightning bolt. I mean, she is a real life superhero the way she looks and acts. So
she carries herself. Yeah, absolutely. She just carries herself like a star. You know what I mean? Like there are people who you can tell have that, they walk the walk. They don't need to say much, man. They just let their actions and their presence speak for them. Jade does that in spades. She's an absolute star. Cannot wait to see what she can do in the ring.
Absolutely. And I think she's just going to tower over Velvet and make her little doll and crash test dummy, man. It makes sense. Even though Velvet's been,
Thunder brought her up.
Thunder, Red Velvet has been growing as a performer. But to book Jade in a dominant way, you have to really have her just squash, ragdoll her as much as possible.
Physical.
Yeah, so I'm all for that. So we're going to shift into our top performers of the night. And my top performer is Hangman Adam Page. I picked Hangman Adam Page because he was really showing up tonight, and he was really carrying that match. And he had some, he did the double buckshot lariat, and he was doing some great stuff. He was feeling the crowd, and the whole swerve with the contract, and then the whole Dark Order interaction and stuff like that. To me, that was a standout moment of the show, even though it started the show, and it's easy to forget those early moments when you have such a jam-packed show.
Yeah.
But, thinking back on the whole card and being there live, I really enjoyed Hangman from his entrance to his in-ring stuff to his shenanigans with the Hardy and the mascot and all that. So he showed up, and it's nice that he's being featured more in the ring week in and week out.
Hangman definitely was he was on fire. You could tell he was amped up. My pick for the star of the night is Mox. Mox's promo alone. And again, AEW has so many great promos, dude. Kingston's promo was great, but Mox's promo, he captivates you. Even there live, I've caught myself leaning forward, wanting to hear everything he has to say. He knows how to send chills down your spine. He is so captivating, and he can build a match and a moment like few in the business. He's so good at that.
Point.
And then to be in that main event with so much star power, with so much action, with so much violence going on, and to definitively beat one of your biggest rivals in the company, in Eddie Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it was a big night for Mox. Obviously, he was left playing. So, that in and of itself, it's hard to say, man, top performer when he gets that, but he gets a rematch, and he's going to get a rematch in his element. So I'm excited to see what's going forward for Mox. I think that he stole the show in a night that was jam-packed. So as you can tell, absolutely had crayfish just buzzing the whole night. I was so bummed that I lost my voice, guys. It was an incredible, incredible night.
It was, and we were there live. We're gonna share some more of our experiences.
Friday, I'll get all my opinions out.
Yeah, okay.
Friday night,
we'll have a
fights.
much more in-depth show, but Dynamite Download was here live and we have some footage that we want to share. I was able to fly my drone for a little bit, and so it's some cool stuff and more experiences on Friday night. Flights and Fights at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard. Join us for a more of I don't want to steal it, but unrestricted version of our show.
Yes.
But
I have so much I want to say, and I can't right now. I'm embarrassed for you guys. Thank you for listening. But Friday night, I will bring it. I will make sure I bring it. MJF, I'm coming for you, son.
The drizzling shits are going to be coming for you, MJF. So here we go. We got another. Here. There we go. I got that saved on it. All
sorts of stuff for us.
But this is a little bit shorter episode than what we're used to. But we are losing our voices, doing the best we can. We got to get this out there because we love spreading the word of AEW and all that. And so follow along on us on all our social channels. You got Twitter, we're always on there, AEW Dynamite DL, Instagram, nonstop clips of our show and all that. And this will also be an audio version on Spotify. So make sure you subscribe, like, and send some comments on our YouTube videos too. We love to interact with you on the comments on our YouTube and how you like our show and all that. So thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thank you, SPD, for carrying me in this one.
I'm losing my voice too. We're gonna wrap things up here from Jacksonville. Daly's place is right behind this window right here, and we're gonna have some more hot water, and then call it. And we'll talk to you guys all this week. Thank you so much for joining us.